Okay, morning guys. So this is Tuesday. Back up to London today for a full day, running an event for an insurance company, and so I've got 4 days up to London this week, which is a bit unusual. So I'm kind of joining the commuters really. Hats off to you guys. I don't know how you do it day in, day out, week after week. It kind of feels just a bit knackering, that whole getting up first thing in the morning, 5:30 alarm clocks and all that kind of stuff. I guess you just have to get better at going to bed a bit earlier if you're doing this the whole time. But here we go. Yeah, so I'm up to town and delivering a session today, really focusing on the topic of clarity. So I'll talk a bit about that today as we vlog our way through the day. Okay, I'm up in town, just on London Bridge actually, the scene of this horrific terrorist attack a few weeks back. First time I've been up. I was up a few days afterwards, but across the bridge here, but I haven't been up for a couple of weeks, and they've now put barriers up everywhere, which is really good. Because I don't know if you can see, if I just sort of pan over there, there's hundreds of people, and this is fairly early in the morning. It gets worse than this. There's kind of loads of people, actually hundreds of them pile across. So yeah, so today I'm working with a group on what we call clarity. So the big idea really is that we think it's incredibly helpful for organisations to make the link between their vision right down into the day-to-day tasks that people are doing. And so we call that the golden thread, and we encourage businesses to get clarity about that golden thread so that people at an operational level in the organisation can really connect what they do with the vision and direction of the organisation. So that's really what we're focusing on today. It's a program, it's part of a program we're working with this group, so it's the second time I will have seen this group. So a bit of Kaplan and Norton technique in there. We're going to go via sort of vision through department plans down into the critical success factors that are required, the mission critical things that must happen to deliver that department plan, and then through that into objective setting and down into task level. And there's some real ways in which that can all go wrong, and you know, even down to the succinctness of objectives. Most objectives that I come across are pretty poorly written actually. They're too verbose, they're unstructured, they're often multiple in that there's not just one objective, there are many in there. So you know, we kind of tidy all of that up so that this golden thread becomes really clear and simple and understandable. You know, even at an operational level in the organisation, I know how I'm contributing to what the organisation is doing up through this kind of cascade, critical success factors, department plan, vision. So that's what today's about really, and I'm looking forward to it. Nice group, and second time with them, so that's quite nice to see people over a number of times, because you start to build some rapport and relationship with them, which I really love. So here we are in the city. I'm heading off now to Moorgate, to one of those etc. venues up at Moorgate. Okay, 6.8 coming down, but I think that's okay. I mentioned on the bridge, you know, kind of setting objectives correctly and the way that they can sometimes be wrong, unhelpful, or even demotivating actually, because you know, people can't achieve their objectives. If they're put at too high a level, then you know, it is a really demotivating thing. And this idea of injecting critical success factors into the golden thread is really helpful in getting the objective at the right level, because it makes sure you're not setting objectives people can't achieve. This is a true story. I actually had on a course I was running some years back, somebody in a county council telling me that their objective was to single-handedly reduce teenage pregnancy for the county. So you know, you kind of think it's just a ridiculous objective, because he couldn't possibly be the one controlling that. The lights have just gone out. I'm not moving enough, am I? Let me just yeah, so you know, he couldn't own that objective simply because there were too many external factors. And in fact, he said that he was going to get a bonus whether or not he was successful, based on whether or not he was successful. And the fact was, you know, the weather might have a greater impact on what he could do. So it's a demotivating objective. But if you ask, you know, what went wrong there, it's simply this. A national indicator from government on the councils was to reduce teenage pregnancy, commendable thing, but that was just handed to this person as an objective without breaking it down and saying what are the critical success factors that deliver that outcome. So if we ask that question, there could be a number of things, but one obvious one would be education. So educating teenagers in schools would be mission critical if we're going to reduce teenage pregnancy. So set that critical success factor, and now the objective drops out at the bottom of that, and it's really plain. You know, it would be around designing a marketing program, or, you know, leaflets for schools, or workshops with teachers, school workshops, all those kind of things that that individual could have owned and delivered and been successful at. So I really like this idea of injecting critical success factors into that cascade, because if you do that well, then you make sure you're creating motivating objectives for people rather than demotivating ones. So, back at the office, slightly damp. It's just been raining, so I got a bit wet going from the station to the car. Meant to take a brolly with me this morning, I forgot, so my fault really. But there are two horrible things about rain for me. One is being bald, kind of a wet palette is not so nice, and wearing glasses is minging because you kind of can't even see where you're going. Anyway, good day with the insurance crowd, and keep adjusting that, and yeah, time and time again when I deal with organisations, there is a real lack of clarity about what the vision of the organisation is. And it reminds me of John Kotter's work. John Kotter, Leading Change, great book, Harvard Business Press. Really good read actually, but one of the things he really labours in that is how inefficiently organisations communicate their vision. And, you know, for me it's, you know, it might as well be bottom of drawer because it's never front of mind, and people just do not communicate the vision enough in organisations. The senior people may, you know, if I'd had them in the room today, may have said, yeah, we've communicated it, but the fact is, if you've got a bunch of managers in the room who can't articulate what the vision is, it is as good as non-existent. And if that's the case, how are you going to join up the vision of the organisation with the operational end of the organisation and create that golden thread? Anyway, that's today. Been a good day. I'm now back in the car, so 10 minutes I'll be home, traffic allowing, so that's all great. The job for tomorrow, for me anyway, has been postponed. It's been bounced because there's been some big meeting called in the organisation, and that's meant that a whole bunch of the people who were intending to come tomorrow can't make it, so we're having to bounce that. But for me, that's no hardship. That's fantastic because I get a day back in the office here, a day to catch up on stuff. I've got a whole pile of proposals to do and follow up on, so great. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I get to perhaps go to the gym in the morning, start a little bit slower than I would have done if I was going back up to town again. Just make sure you subscribe for me, leave any comments on the, you know, kind of on your thoughts on what we're talking about, and give me some feedback on how it's going, and I'll catch you soon.